Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm your host, That Creepy Reading. Have you ever felt completely unnerved by something? Maybe watched a video talking about the presence of a ghost or a demon. Maybe you've played with an Ouija board while no one was home, and now you feel like something is watching you. Well, the presence of demonic entities and or spirits have been something that's been well documented in the past, and there are plenty of true horrifying tales involving these creatures. Sometimes they can affect a DVD, VHS, and make you see something that you honestly were not expecting, which created the whole lost episode type of epidemic. Or maybe you just happened to pick up the wrong dog one day, then realize it's possessed by Zozo. Either way, we got 3 terrifying true tales about demonic entities. With this being said, let's begin. Number 1, Stubbs Clubhouse. I had an awesome childhood. Like most kids growing up in the 90s, my TV schedule consisted mostly of SpongeBob, Power Rangers, and Transformers. For the most part, I wasn't really into really kiddie shows like Barney or Mr. Rogers or anything like that. But the other day, I was talking with my mom about when I was a little kid. At one point during the conversation, she brought up the topic of an old TV show I sometimes watched. It was called Stubbs Clubhouse. I was unaware of the show she was referring to at first, but then the memories just came flying back. I remembered it so clearly and almost instantaneously. Basically, Stubbs Clubhouse was a cheesy, low-budget kid show starring a clown named Stub. He had a rainbow-colored jacket, a hat, and if memory serves, he wore black pants with stars on them. The show was a kind of rip-off of Pee-wee's Playhouse, and even as a young kid, I could tell that. Basically, Stubbs lived in a big clubhouse, which strangely enough looked like a normal house. I assumed that was due to their low budget. Stubbs had a group of friends who lived in the clubhouse, and other than that I don't remember much, but I vaguely remember a poodle and a man in a really badly made elephant costume. Like I said, I don't remember much about the show. I didn't watch it very much, mainly for 2 reasons. Number 1, it aired at a very strange time. Very late, in fact, around 10:30, which was bizarre for a kid show. And 2, it only aired on a really obscure channel called Bebo, which only aired for about 3 years. Then, the channel was shut down for unknown reasons. The only other thing I can remember about the show was the theme song, which was sung by a woman who sounded like she was half asleep while singing it. And the background music was played entirely on a xylophone. Yeah, we're getting that low budget. In around November of 2008, I had just turned 14, and this was just a few days after the conversation with my mom, and I decided to treat myself to a little trip to the half-price books. See, I like half-price books, more than I like Barnes & Nobles, because you can find older books and movies, as opposed to only the up-to-date shit that they have at B&N. So, I was browsing through the old videotapes, searching for a tape of one of my favorite shows, Street Sharks, which is about anthropomorphic sharks who fought crime, and now that I think about it, I am embarrassed for admitting that I liked that. I was going through the tapes in alphabetical order, and I happened to reach the S section when something caught my eye. It was a tape labeled Stubbs Clubhouse. This case had no logo, no pictures to indicate it was Stubbs. It was just a plain bland case with a piece of tape on the side which had Stubbs Clubhouse written on it in black Sharpie. I was still kind of curious about this show that I had only barely remembered, and plus I couldn't find any Street Sharks, so I decided to buy Stubbs. It was pretty cheap, even for a half-price books tape, selling for only 75 cents. But hey, it was a bargain. I took it to the checkout counter. The woman working there looked at the tape and then stared at me, and she timidly asks, you sure you want to buy this tape? I politely said yes, and she rung it up. That's when I went home, got out to my VCR, and hooked it up to the TV, where my 6-year-old sister, Emily, was playing with Barbies. She asked me what I was doing, and I told her I'd gotten a tape at Half Price Books that we could probably watch together. I put the tape in, and the standard old copyright infringement warning, better not copy that floppy, came up as usual. I never really paid much attention to this. I really felt those old warnings were literally a warning to no one. Anyone who's gonna pirate is gonna pirate, despite what you say. You can't really catch me copying a movie or DVD or whatever and giving it to a friend. Maybe they are there to discourage large-scale distribution, but people who do that are already gonna take the risk anyway. So really, it was just a waste of my time and their time for putting this in. The tape started at the theme song and the first episode, complete with the old shitty xylophone music and sleepy singer. The episode started out in the clubhouse where Stubbs introduced himself and told the viewers that he was going on a field trip. There's a very bad rough cut to the playground in the middle of a grassy park. There's a group of small children, about as old as my little sister in fact, playing on a merry-go-round. Stubbs walked up to them and they all ran to give him hugs. After that, Stubbs looked at the camera and asked if the kids at home would like to play too. As assumed, Emily piped up, "Yeah!" because kids are idiots. Stubbs replied, "Alrighty-o, let's go to the playground and play with me." Emily asked if she could go to the playground with Stubbs, but I told her this is filmed. However, I saw something interesting out of the corner of my eye. We have a playground in our own neighborhood, about a block from our house, but close enough so that we could see it from our living room window. It took me a second to make the connection, but it hit me. The playground from the video was actually the same playground in our neighborhood. Then it hit me even more. The same children in the show were playing on our playground right now. They're wearing the same clothes as they were in the video, and they're performing the exact same actions. Almost as if the video was being filmed live. Then I noticed something that disturbed me greatly. In the video, one of the children was holding Stubbs' hand. I looked out the window. That same child was making a motion like he was holding someone's hand. But there was no one there. I was shocked. I immediately ejected the tape, and much to Emily's sadness, as she was beginning to grow fond of the show, I took the tape, threw it in the garbage, and that's when I thought I was done with Stubbs. But next day, my mom picked Emily up from kindergarten, and Emily told me that Stubbs had been following their car, driving a black van. She said she had looked out the back of the window and she saw Stubbs behind the wheel of the van. She told me that she had told Mom, but Mom didn't see any cars or vans or whatsoever in her rearview mirror. Emily told me that she was confused and somewhat worried, and I simply told her not to worry and try to relax and let the adults handle the situation. The adults primarily being me. That night, I went against my best judgment, and I decided to fish the tape out of the trash and watch episode 2. The theme song started, but something was wrong. The xylophone was very distorted, and the woman's voice was a lot deeper and a bit distorted as well. The title came up again, and the colors were more dull, being composed of shades of brown and gray rather than the usual bright red and yellow. I decided to brush it off as a messed up, tape, and continued watching. It roughly cut to a still image of Stubbs staring at the camera. After a while, I realized that it wasn't a still image. It was a video of Stubbs sitting motionless and staring directly at the viewer. Stubb would periodically turn his head as if cracking his stiff neck, but he would never blink. He did this the entire episode, which lasted 20 whole minutes. But right before the episode ended, Stubbs closed his eyes tightly while still staring. And then he opened to reveal pure white eyes. Nothing but white within his sockets. Suddenly the tape cut to a picture of a house. Not just any house. My house. I frantically ejected the tape and once more stuck it in a drawer. I looked out the window where the cameraman would have been, but there was no one there or any trace of anyone standing there. I tried to go to sleep that night, but I just couldn't. I ended up sneaking downstairs in the middle of the night, sitting in the kitchen all night with the lights on and a huge supply of caffeinated drinks. The morning Sue came, and I was safe for a while. Unexpectedly, the rest of the day went off with no strange occurrences. Emily didn't see Stubbs following him in this van either, which was an enormous relief and a bit of hope that this might be over. But that night I woke up in what could be described as conscious sleepwalking, meaning I got up in the middle of the night and did something while being fully conscious and aware, but being drawn by something, some urge. I subconsciously took the tape from the drawer and placed it back in the VCR. I sat on the couch, and then I suddenly awoke from this paralysis. I noticed I was on the couch, and I was about to watch a tape. I wanted to take the tape and go back upstairs, but a strange urge, a force told me I needed to see this final episode. Episode 3. The opening started. This time, it was totally different. The xylophone had been replaced with a loud banging. The voice had now become a deep, demonic sounding narrative, singing lyrics in a language I could not physically understand. The title came up, and the title card looked like it had been slashed by claws of a large animal. When the episode turned on, Stubbs was sitting on a table with some children. He asked the children if they wanted to play a game, and they eagerly said yes. Stubbs reached under the table, which revealed a large carving knife. He asked one of the children to place their arms on the table, and the small girl did. And Stubbs asked, "Tell me how it feels." He then began to slowly slice a thin layer of flesh from the girl's arm, like he was peeling a potato. Blood immediately began to flow like one of those nasty gore gifs that you would see online, or something you would find off of the Pain Olympics. Calmly, as if they wanted to actually see the rest, he asked the girl, "Does it feel happy?" Stubbs continued to slice a layer after layer of flesh off this girl until he hit bone. The girl was wailing like a banshee, and I was in absolute shock. I wanted to puke, but I didn't. And I honestly wanted to viscerally get out of my seat and go up to that fucking tape and eject it and then just smash the goddamn thing. The girl's arm was drenched in blood, which had spilled onto the table and created a puddle on the tabletop. Stubbs started laughing happily like a clown would. Like a clown-like. And it was awful. That's when the video ended. However, then it cut to another video. It was inside of Emily's room. Right now. She was sound asleep. Standing over the bed, looking down at her, was Stubbs. Then suddenly, he looked at the camera with white eyes in his sockets. Give It Everything by an unknown user. Below are a section of emails from Leonard Tomlin, a person of interest in 2 separate missing person cases in the North Sheffield area. It has been the conclusion of the writing officer and his colleagues that Leonard Tomlins has passed away since the writing of these emails. Until further information could be found, these emails offer the only narrative available for the dual disappearances of Sarah Lither and Samuel Tomlins Lither. James Lang at hotmail.com.uk. Subject: sorry. Hey man, haven't had a chance to speak with you before you left. Didn't really know what to say since I missed your goodbye party. Still though, I kind of have an excuse. I woke up on a Friday and went through the whole routine and cleaned up for little Sam's visit. I got myself showered and ready, and when I, leave there was a dog waiting by my front door. Like, seriously, just this manky looking thing with a note around its neck that read, "Give it everything." It was a real curveball, and I took the little thing in and it made itself at home while I went and knocked on some of the neighbors' doors. After a while, I was told about a guy a couple doors down who had lost his dog a few weeks ago. But when I saw him, he told me they found their dog a couple miles away in a ditch. By the time I came back, it was too late to come see you, so I'm real sorry about that. I'm going to try to take it to shelter tomorrow with Sam and maybe get things back to normal. And maybe we'll have heard a bit about your case, huh? Best of luck. 6/14/25/05/2014. To Halen Ansbury. Subject: apologies over this afternoon. Helen, I am so sorry. I can't empathize enough with what happened today. It's not normal. Sam has never, ever behaved like that before. I've already made a donation to her website, and I think it will cover some of the damages Sam caused you in your reception area. And I have a friend who works in flooring. I'm sure they could do something about the sand on the rug. And I'm more than willing to pay any of your medical expenses as a result of the bite on your hand. And again, I really want to apologize for the mess he caused. Sam is perfectly healthy, and he's a very normal child. I don't know what made him do it. I just can't emphasize it enough. And I know it may be the last thing you want to think about, but please phone me so we can discuss about you taking in this dog. I know Sam spun a pretty compelling tale but that dog is not my dog. Sam's mother and I didn't buy it for him 2 years ago, and we have not spent the last 3 months trying to put it down because we want to move into a nicer house with wooden flooring. In fact, Sam's mother and I have split up. We're no longer together, and we haven't since Sam was 2. I do not have money to look after this dog. I don't believe we can give it the home it deserves. For the sake of the animal, please phone me a number left with your receptionist. Best regards, Leonard Tomlins. 27/05/2014 to James Lang. Subject: best of luck, man. Hey, I heard about the trial. I mean, I guessed after I didn't hear from you on Friday, but your mom filled me in when I saw her a couple days ago, and she passed on this new email address. She said you guys get email access for good behavior. Is that right? Maybe. So, yeah, I don't think I've had a chance to fill you in, but I wound up keeping the dog. Sam's been real weird about it. He went home after the weekend and told Sarah that I bought him the dog. And he says to her, no joke now, that I told him if he didn't behave and tell Mummy how important spending time with Daddy is, that I'd fucking kill the dog. Next thing, Sarah's phoning me going nuts. She's all horrified and threatening to get Alan to come kick my ass, and obviously, I'm pretty pissed, so I started screaming too. Next thing I know, some real nasty stuff gets said, and we haven't talked for like a week. So yeah, clearly this kid loves this dog. and I didn't really feel like I had a choice. Guess the next move is to take it to the vets. Thing is, though, I just don't like the dog. When Sam's not here, he sits and looks at me and almost never moves. It's not fucking right. It doesn't move right or behave right. And when Sam does come here, it acts real normal, but only around him. And even then, it guards him, like, from me. I check in on him at night, and he sits on his bed and just stares at the fucking kid. If I come too close, it growls. There's some other really weird stuff too. I've checked like 100 times, and I'm desperate to hear other ideas, but I swear this dog hasn't like used a toilet at all. Seriously, every day I put him out in the garden and I haven't seen anything left. It's not a big garden, and the damn thing eats too much. It went through about 50 kilograms of food in a single day. It's eating through my damn bank account, and it's not even a big dog either. It's just a bit bigger than a terrier, but smaller than a Labrador. I must be missing some piece of the puzzle. Like, maybe it digs a hole and buries the mess? You used to have dogs. Is this something to do? 05/06/2014 to James Lang. Subject: thanks for the call. Hey. It was nice speaking to you properly. I know you don't get long on the phone, and ringing me meant missing out on the chat with your mom. Still though, thanks. So yeah, I followed your advice. It was a really clever idea of you putting a talic down on the dog's bed. Didn't really go as planned though. Not that it didn't work, it's just that what I found didn't make a lot of sense. I mean, the marks just got real weird. They started looking like, well, a dog's, but it changed with each new print. Next thing you know, you know what? Don't worry about it. It just didn't work, and I'm beginning to think this is just actually Sam. Maybe he came home when the teachers weren't paying attention. I don't know, but he must have. I think something's really wrong with him. Every time he comes around, it's just not the same. He sits by that dog for hours, and no matter what I do, I can't go near them when they are together. Sarah's been feeling the same way. Talking a lot more since Sam's been misbehaving so much. So that's one good thing, I guess. It's still gone back and forth between us, and Sarah thinks that's the problem. I told her I could take full custody for a month, or maybe 2 to see if it helped, but she didn't want to take the dog, and Sam would never leave it permanently. He only lets it, stay with me because, and I'm quoting now, he needs to make sure Daddy behaves. Which is weird. I mean, don't you think that's a little weird? Which, yeah, it's probably one of the more freakier things that I heard in my life, but lately he's been a pretty freaky kid. I don't really know how to handle it. The other day, I found him letting the dog clean up and cut, and the dog was just licking away, and Sam was moaning real loud. Even the neighbors came to see what was going on and all, and all I could think was to drag this kid by the collar inside. All the while, the dog tried to eat my ankle. I'm pretty sure everyone in the street thinks I'm some sort of weirdo. If you'd heard the noises Sam was making, though, you would have thought it too. It wasn't right. They aren't noises a kid should make, or even know how to make. It makes me wonder what he's been exposed to at Allen's. I asked him why he was letting the dog do it, and all Sam could say was the dog was hungry, and he wanted to feed him, and it felt good. So, yeah, thanks for the dog advice, but honestly, I don't think the dog is the problem. I think Sam's got some serious issues. I think he's the problem. Though, I don't know how or why. 06/06/2014 to Dr. Sedler. Subject: please phone me ASAP. Urgent. Dear Dr. Sedler, I don't really understand the content of your last email. I would appreciate a phone call so we could discuss what happened at your veterinary office on Thursday afternoon. Typically in situations like this, I would pay for any damages or fees the dog incurred, but as far as I'm aware, you made no attempt to seek reimbursement. Also, I heard you fired your assistant, which I think was unnecessary. It wasn't her fault that she was bitten by the dog. And as far as I'm aware, he's a stray mongrel. So anything she said after being bitten was probably the result of an illness, fever, or maybe a concussion she received, during the struggle. I don't know. I know she said some silly things, but let's be honest about what probably happened. Your business lost another client's dog during the struggle with mine. I feel very responsible. I don't know if that little guy jumped out a window or made an escape through a unguarded door, but either way, I wouldn't feel comfortable if you blamed the poor woman who got bit. Even if she did accuse my dog of swallowing a beagle like a whole snake. It was clearly something she said in a panic. So please, please, please phone me so I can discuss this further. Best regards, Leonard Tomlins. 26/09/2014 to James Lang. Update on Sarah. Hey man, I know it's been a while. I don't really feel like speaking to anyone after Sarah's disappearance. Figured I'd drop you an email because I've changed numbers a couple of times since we last spoke. I don't know if you got the right one. I just wanted to say thanks for trying to help me with the search. I know you tried to get out of a special circumstance so you could come look. Your mother told me the whole ordeal with the parole board. Sorry that at the time I didn't really think to say thanks. Now it's just me to keep looking. Yesterday all the volunteers officially quit and the police said to themselves that they had no choice but to focus on other cases. So this is the first time in a while I've been on my own, not surrounded by cops or volunteers. So yeah, I don't really know what to do now. Sam's moving back in tomorrow. He can't really stay with Alan. I've always thought that I'd be such a good dad. But when I told him he'd be living with me, he got so happy and jumped up and down and he said, I knew he'd fix it. I knew he'd fix it. And I don't know. I guess all I can say is I raised one fucked up kid. Must be a terrible dad. I don't know what I did. I didn't know what I did was so wrong. Sometimes, when I'm feeling really angry, I don't even blame myself. I blame that fucking dog. I need help, man. I really need help. Please phone me. Phone me when you get the chance. To 21/11/2014, James Lang. Subject empty. Hey, I wanted to say sorry. I don't do a great job at being a friend, do I? No, one's going to really know what happened, and you are no different. We used to talk so much before the wives and the kids, and whatever it was that got you and your brother in so much trouble. So, I just want you to know that if they come to ask questions, they're gonna have to fucking comb this house. And they're gonna want to know as much as they think I've got. But I don't... I think they got... I think they think that I have the answers, but fuck, man. I just don't. You'll believe me, won't you? You know that I would never hurt Sam or Sarah. I just went to the shop, and I came back. That's it. Seriously, that's it. Sam was sitting with the dog when I left. I asked if he wanted to come with me, and obviously he said no, so I just left him there. Then I came back, and the house was wrecked. At first, I thought an oil pipe under the house must have exploded, but then I got closer, and there was a smell. Jesus. I couldn't even stay in there. I nearly passed out. I'm writing this at the library, and I took a shower at my gym. I had to. Distinct followed me everywhere I went. I think it might have finally taken a shit. There's so much of it, and it didn't look like shit. It was like oil, but there was hints of red, like blood and oil about a foot high throughout the entire house. It was turning the walls and floor to mush, like everything had been stewing in that slosh for years. Gallons of it must have been spewed out from that little thing. And the marks on the floor and wall was horrific. I mean, fuck, some of those windows are smashed out. And one of the walls... Oh my god. I even found a tooth and a dog collar and a ring. I think it was Sarah's. Jesus Christ, I must have gone fucking mad. Sam's gone. I think it hurt them. I think it must have. It must have done something to them. I went looking through the shit and the blood and some other stuff, maybe guts. I don't even fucking know, but I couldn't find them. No trace, no nothing. I won't be here when you get out. If they ask about me, you can show them this, but it won't help much, though. I'll be dead. I got nothing left. Sarah's gone. Sam's gone. I think I get it now. Give it everything. So I'll be gone. Roommate troubles. Credited to Jessi Cosgrove. This actually happened to me a few years back at University of Arts in Philadelphia. My sophomore year, I roomed with a girl named Kara. She was a jazz vocalist, but her main interest was opera. We had a small room on the 6th floor of a dormitory called Juniper Hall. The walls were thin, and her late night singing and voice practices would keep me up very late. After a month or so of lost sleep, I convinced her to move her late night practices to the studios in Merriam Theater in a building a block away. Around 8 o'clock one evening, Kara announced that she would be practicing late for an upcoming recital, and I probably wouldn't be home till midnight. Great, I thought. That means I could go to bed early. I was beat. I had a horrible day in the acting studio, and I was ready to pass out as I had dinner. She said goodnight and left, coffee and sheet and music in hand. I made some grilled cheese and soup, gobbled it down, and immediately begun to prepare for bed. By the time I got out of the shower, my eyelids were so heavy I could hardly brush my teeth. I pulled my PJs, and I crawled onto the top bunk of our bunk bed, and I was out as soon as my head hit the pillow. I should take a second to describe the layout of our apartment. When entering our apartment, or the apartment of the bedroom, through a door immediately to the left, our bathroom was inside the bedroom, just past the bunk beds. UA Arts is nice in the sense that you don't have to share bathrooms. Anyways, I woke up to the sound of an apartment door closing. I opened my eyes and groggily checked my phone. It was midnight on the dot. I rolled back over, closed my eyes, and I heard Kara enter the room and stop in front of the bunk bed, as if to see if I was actually asleep. She flopped down onto the bed below me, which is strange, as she was a stickler for brushing her teeth and washing up before bed. Then again, exams were just around the corner and we were all exhausted. The mattress below me creaked, and then, silent. I couldn't hear her breathing. I started to drift off again. I was just on the edge of deep sleep when I started awake by a noise. A key in the lock, a door opening, and Kara entering our appointment, humming a opportune. The mattress below me creaked. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the end of the video, and I kind of want to throw a little shout out or something like that. I'm working on this lost episode thing, and I am honestly running out of time everywhere I look. I'm dealing with a lot of family issues right now. But if anyone would like to help me with the script writing process for this video, I would be much appreciated. If you would like to send me an email in my email, which should be in the description below, or possibly send me a contact request on Skype and say you would be willing to help out with the thing, that would be great. I only request that you not be like 13 years of age. I just need a little bit of help of ironing out this script and seeing what I can do. Anyway, thanks for listening. If you want to support the channel financially, you can always donate on Patreon. I'm hoping to see some emails soon. Hopefully, please, thank you. And this will be it for this video.